No soul is born by accident. No cry ever rises beneath the sky's great dome without first being written into the sacred book of creation. On the night you were called into this world, the stars didn't just shine. They aligned themselves into ancient letters, writing across the sky the first declaration of your soul. Nothing is random. Every first breath echoes with an intention woven long before time began. Maybe you've thought of yourself as a product of circumstance, of events, of chance flowing through time. But no, the moment you opened your eyes to the light, heaven already knew what would stir your heart, what would break you, and what would lift you again. Your birth was not a biological event. It was a sacred covenant between your soul and the Creator. For some reason, these words echo clearly in the mind. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. That line wasn't spoken only to the prophet Jeremiah. It was spoken to anyone searching for the reason they exist. Before your body was formed, you were known. You were chosen. You were loved. So don't ever think your birth month is just a meaningless number. It isn't. It's heaven's language, the code of your mission. The universe speaks in light, in seasons, in the breath of time. And your birth month is the note your soul sang as it stepped into this world. Picture it. In that very moment, heaven paused, looked down, and whispered, "Now is the time." A soul had arrived, carrying the energy of that exact moment energy that would shape your journey for a lifetime. Heaven has never done anything without purpose. Every season comes for a reason. Every rainfall carries a message. Every month holds a sacred frequency that calls to the souls meant for it. And you are part of that divine symphony, a unique melody written into the eternal music of creation. When you were born, that note rang out a sound that belongs only to you, yet blends into the greater rhythm of the universe. Maybe you felt it, that sense of not quite belonging, as if something deeper is calling you to remember. That's not confusion. It's the echo of an ancient covenant your soul made before coming to earth. In that covenant, it was written, "You will forget, so you can rediscover. You will be lost, so you can find your way home." And from that moment, the journey began, a journey of remembrance, of the soul finding its way back. In the higher realms, everything was arranged, the light, the timing, even your first breath. Each soul carries a unique imprint. Some are born under the bold light of January, known as the initiators, the pathfinders. Others arrive with February's wind, carrying missions of healing, peace, and compassion. Some souls are born in May, steadfast as mountains in their faith. Others in July, where the light of seeking breaks through the clouds of doubt. And no matter the month, all come from the same source, the breath of heaven, sent into human form. This is why no one is random. No one is ever too early or too late. Every soul arrives at the right time, in the right place, with the right rhythm. Even delays, detours, and disruptions are part of the divine design. Some are here to open paths, some to heal, some to illuminate. All of us, weaving together the great tapestry of life, where each thread is a person, a soul, a story. Pause for a moment and look back at your life. The moments that once seemed meaningless, could they be whispering something to you? Every time your heart stirs at light, music, truth, or kindness, that's your soul remembering why it came. Past life memories don't return through images. They return through emotion, a longing for a place you've never seen, a love for something you cannot name. And in those moments, you might feel as if someone is watching you from beyond the veil, smiling gently. That is the memory of heaven. That is the greeting from the place you once belonged. And so, your story begins. A story written not only in what you do, but in the energy you carry with every breath. Your birth month is just the doorway. Behind it lies a treasure of symbols, lessons, and sacred signs placed there by God. On the day you were born, the stars stood in alignment. The winds paused for a beat, and the light descended to seal your soul with a mark that says, "You did not come here just to exist. You came to remember." That message is the first heartbeat of your journey. The journey to remember your true name, to reclaim the voice of your soul, to recognize divine order even in chaos. Every coincidence holds meaning. Every path leads back to one place, the place where you began. And in that silence, you may hear it, a whisper light as breath. You were chosen, not because you are perfect, not because you are stronger than anyone else, but because only you carry that frequency the world needs now. Only you can sing that note in this exact moment in time. From here, the story of your soul begins to move, like a river gliding through morning mist. It will take you through seasons, through months, where each month is no longer a calendar page, but a door to a deeper part of your soul. Each one holds a code, a spark of light, and as you pass through them, you'll realize this whole journey has always been a return to that first call from heaven. And when the light begins to shift, the voice softens, and the air grows still, as if heaven itself is listening. The veil opens. Ahead lies the language of the universe, where time, month, and soul meet. And in that space, the call still echoes, unending. This world was not created by chance. Every movement, every season, every breath carries the rhythm of an ancient language, a language only a quiet heart can understand. The universe doesn't speak in words, but in light, in the subtle repetition of time, in the rustle of the wind and the turning of the stars. This is the language of heaven. Since the beginning, humans have looked up, searching the skies for meaning. They've called it astronomy, astrology, prophecy. But before it became science or religion, it was simply a sacred dialogue between the soul and the Creator. When you gaze at the stars, you are truly looking at yourself, your purest, most original form, untouched by time or flesh. The sky is not silent. It is speaking. It is telling the story of countless souls. Each constellation is a letter, each season a chapter, and your birth month is the opening line of that cosmic manuscript. You were born into a frequency chosen by heaven, a frequency that carries lessons, gifts, and a divine invitation, not to limit you, but to remind you. You came here with a purpose, a promise, a melody to fulfill. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of His hands. Psalm 19:1. This is not just poetry, it is truth. The sky is not quiet. Every star sings of the Creator's glory, and when you were born, that very sky spoke. It echoed with a note that belonged only to you. Imagine this. When you took your first breath, the universe breathed with you. The combination of light, season, and sound in that moment became your soul's imprint. It can't be seen, but it can be felt. When you're joyful, it hums. When you're in pain, it softens. When you pray, it shines. And every time you live true to who you are, that light is awakened once again. That rhythm flows through everything you do. Have you ever felt drawn to a specific color, a certain season, or a quiet moment in the day? That is not random. That is the frequency of your soul calling you home. The universe doesn't send emails or write letters. Heaven speaks through emotion, through resonance. And your birth month is the key that begins unlocking this awareness. Each month of the year carries its own energy, like the notes of a cosmic symphony. January is beginning. February is peace. March is strength through the storm. April is rebirth. May is steadfastness. June is building. July is seeking. August is awakening. September is order. October is renewal. November is intuition. And December is light. Together, these 12 months are 12 tones of a song heaven wrote for humanity. And when a soul is sent to earth, heaven chooses a note for it. That note is your birth month. It carries a message, a blessing, and a mission. No month is higher than another. Each is simply a different way for light to express itself. Each soul is a vessel through which God plays His melody. From the moment you were born, that language began to speak through you. But the noise of the world made you forget. You heard too many voices, too much fear and doubt, until you no longer recognized the sound of your own soul. But it's still there, gentle, patient, waiting for you to come back and listen. Sometimes it speaks through intuition, a knowing that something is right before your mind can explain it. Sometimes it speaks through the stir of your heart when you stand before something true. And sometimes it speaks through silence, that strange pause between breaths, where you feel someone watching you from beyond the light. That is the language of heaven. It is not loud, not forceful, but deeply powerful. And those who hear it begin to remember. And when you remember, everything begins to shift. Suddenly, the things you feared become your teachers. The ones who hurt you become mirrors, awakening your compassion. Even loss stops feeling like punishment. It becomes an invitation to walk deeper into your soul's journey. Everything has its own rhythm. The universe is always in motion, but it never rushes. Trees shed leaves in season. The moon waxes and wanes in perfect time. And the human heart opens, closes, learns to love, and learns to trust. When you align with this rhythm, you enter a state the ancients called alignment harmony with heaven. In this space, things become clear. You stop comparing. You stop chasing. You stop trying to be someone else. Because you realize you've always been enough. You are already where you need to be at exactly the right time. Your story is not small. Every time you live authentically, you add your light to the song of the universe. You may not see it, but on a higher plane, every act of kindness, every prayer, every tear is recorded. They become echoes, rising back to heaven like a chorus of faith. And heaven responds quietly, through small signs, a gentle breeze, a repeating number, a coincidence that makes you smile. Nothing is random. When you begin to understand this language, life becomes sacred. Everything starts to hold meaning. A meeting, a dream, even a delay, they are all letters from heaven. Your birth month is just the beginning of learning to read these messages. It is the invitation. Remember where you came from and live as if you still belong there. A wise one once said, "When your heart is in rhythm with the universe, you will never lose your way." And it's true. When you learn to listen, you will know heaven is still speaking. Through light, through time, through you, and like the stars above. Each soul is a point of light on the eternal map. When one person remembers the language of heaven, that light spreads, guiding others. This is how heaven continues to create, not just through miracles, but through people who remember they are one. The voice softens now, gentle as breath. A pause opens, like night, embracing the sky before dawn arrives. In that stillness, the first notes of the journey begin to rise, the sound of beginning, of purpose, of being called by name. Because once a soul has heard that call, it can never go back to sleep. And as the light begins to stretch from afar, a new chapter begins to unfold, where the initiating souls, the ones who carry the first anointing of the year, are waiting to be named. There is a moment in life, quiet and deep, when you feel with absolute clarity that something greater is watching you. Not with eyes, but with an awareness that goes beyond the mind. A gaze from afar, both gentle and powerful, as if the very sky were whispering, "Now you are ready." That is the moment your soul opens to receive the invitation of light. Not an invitation to a place, but a call to remember who you are, to remember that your birth month is not just time, but a gateway. When you were born, the door between the realms of light and earth opened for a brief moment, and the energy of that time was etched into you like a sacred code. It is still there, in your breath, in your heartbeat, waiting to be awakened. But heaven only opens the door when the soul is ready. Not too soon, not too late. And if you are hearing these words, perhaps this is the sign that your time has come. A voice soft as wind continues to guide. Open your heart. You don't have to understand it all. You don't have to believe it right away. Just open your heart, because sometimes faith doesn't come from logic, but from the trembling of the soul when it hears something truer than memory. You didn't come here to watch a video. You are being called back to yourself. Your birth month carries a message, a covenant, a blessing. And if you are still enough, you will hear it. Because heaven doesn't speak loudly. It speaks through signs, through impressions, through subtle coincidences, through repeating numbers, through the warmth in your chest when something touches your soul. In that space, a psalm seems to gently unfold, like an echo arriving from afar. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That is the key. Not action, but stillness. When you are still, you hear. When you hear, you remember. And when you remember, you begin to see the signs around you, your birth month, life events. Even the people you meet begin to take on new shape, like pieces of a puzzle finally falling into place. Those born in January carry the mission of initiation, of forging the way, like the first rays of light tearing through the dark. They are the initiators, the ones who dare to step where no one else has. When the world waits, they move. When others doubt, they begin. Not with noise or chaos, but with quiet steps full of faith in the unseen. Just as God said in Genesis, "Let there be light," and that light is them. Souls of January hold the energy of Genesis, of beginnings, of creation. They often feel the weight of responsibility to go first, to lead, to break through the old. But that weight is not punishment. It is a sign of mission. When they rise, the world shifts. When they believe, the collective energy opens. And if you were born in January, know this: the loneliness you felt is not separation. It is heaven's call saying, you are the first light in the darkness. You were not born to blend in, but to make way for those still learning to believe. Then come the souls of February, the peacemakers. They carry the breath of calm. When the world is shaken, they are the steady heartbeat that holds it all together. They are the ones pain turns to for comfort, the ones darkness finds for peace. Their power doesn't come from doing, but from simply being. They are proof that sometimes a kind gaze can heal deeper than 1,000 words. They are like still waters, soft in appearance, yet strong enough to smooth even the hardest stone. Though born in the shortest month, their souls run the deepest. God chose them to bridge division and harmony, sorrow and forgiveness. And because of this, the world needs them more than ever. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Matthew 5-9. If you were born in February, never let anyone tell you that gentleness is weakness. You were not made to fight. You were sent to heal. Peace is your language, and every time you choose love instead of reaction, you speak with the voice of heaven. There's a beautiful truth here. When the initiator of January meets the peacemaker of February, light and peace become one. It is the beginning of divine balance. A new creation cannot begin without love, and love cannot spread without someone brave enough to begin. Each month, each soul is part of a greater design where heaven coordinates every breath and every step. And you, no matter when you were born, are being called to remember that no moment in your life is without meaning. Every failure, every dream, every twist in the road is pushing you closer to your original purpose. You may wonder, how do I know if I'm truly chosen? How do I hear that call more clearly? The answer is always simple. By turning inward. There's nothing to find outside yourself. The light you're searching for is waiting to be recognized within. When you live true to your soul, when you follow the honesty of your heart, you are already walking your purpose. That is why you are invited not just to listen, but to take part. Because every awakened soul becomes part of a greater light. When you share this message, you're not just spreading a video, you are activating a link in heaven's network of light. Like, share, subscribe not as a habit, but as a ritual, a declaration that you have heard the call, and you are stepping into it. The voice lowers now, slow and tender. When you spread the light, you don't lose it, you multiply it. Everyone who touches this message will remember a part of themselves that has long been asleep, a part that is brave, a part that is soft, a part that still believes. And when many souls remember together, heaven smiles because the light has begun to return to earth. In that moment, you may feel a subtle vibration through your body, a warmth rising in your chest, a quiet shift of energy. This is not imagination. It is a signal that you are syncing with the language of heaven, because the moment your heart opens, the true journey begins. From the light of initiation and the breath of peace, the story flows onward to other months, where strength, faith, and rebirth are waiting to be named. And in that sacred space, heaven still whispers, soft as wind, "Keep going, for I am with you." There are souls who come into this world not to rest, but to awaken. They don't always know why, they just feel, deep in their hearts, a call that urges them to rise, to move, to create something new. They carry the energy of beginnings, the first torches in humanity's long night. They are born in January, the month of origin, the month where the first light breaks through after the long winter. Before time was measured in hours and days, there was a sacred moment when heaven said, "Let there be light." And that light didn't just shine upon the earth, it ignited within the souls born with the calling of January. They didn't come to continue something, they came to begin. They were chosen to initiate, to dare to open the way while the world still lingered in shadows of doubt. If you've ever felt like you're always the first to change, the first to speak, the first to walk away or start over, it's not by accident. You carry the blood of pioneers. Your soul entered this world already imprinted with that instinct. That is the mark of January, the energy of Genesis. But being chosen to blaze the trail is not an easy path. January souls often carry an invisible weight. They bear the loneliness of going first, the skepticism of those who haven't yet seen. It may feel like they're fighting against the world, but in truth, they're opening a new one. And that's why they need faith more than anyone else. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Psalm 27:1. This is the quiet reminder heaven gives to those with this mission. Your light doesn't come from the approval of others. It comes from the deepest faith within you, the belief that your light cannot be extinguished. The fire you carry is the flame of God, and no wind can put it out. People born in January often feel they simply can't stop. Even when they fail, they want to try again. Even when they're hurt, they keep moving, because something within them will not allow them to give up. That is the anointing of the initiator. Heaven equipped them with courage, with endurance, and with a heart that never stops hoping. They do not lead with speeches. They lead with action. They don't need praise. Just the sight of a path beginning to open is enough. When they show up, the atmosphere shifts. When they speak, people listen, without knowing why. When they act, the impossible begins to look possible, because they are the beginning of all motion. The universe has a law. All creation begins with the first vibration. And the soul of January is that vibration, the first sound that stirs all things still asleep. They don't need to know the outcome, they only need to know they must move. Every time they step forward, their energy ripples outward, awakening courage in other souls. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Psalm 37:4. This doesn't mean their path is easy. On the contrary, they are often the first to be tested, the first to be delayed, the first to be misunderstood. But in those challenges, their light is sharpened, because light was never made to be safe. It was made to shine through the dark. Sometimes, January souls don't realize they carry the calling of a forerunner. They just know they feel different. They question things. They can't accept this is just how it is. They want change. They want to rebuild. They want to begin again. That is the work of the soul, doing what it was sent to do. They cannot stay still because light never stays still. They might be the first in their family to break an old pattern, the first to leave comfort behind and start over, the first to create something no one else has imagined. No matter the form, it all pulses with the same rhythm, the rhythm of 111, the prophetic number of new beginnings. 111 is not just a sequence, it is a sacred sign sent from heaven as confirmation. The gateway of Genesis has opened. A new cycle is beginning. If you often see 111 on clocks, receipts, or randomly around, you know this. You are being invited into a new chapter of your mission. That number represents the unity of heart, mind, and spirit. When those three align, your soul begins to move in harmony with heaven's intention, and everything, even slowly, begins to shift. If that number stirs something in you, hold it in your heart or say it out loud. As an agreement with the universe, I am ready for a new beginning. January souls are also called the awakeners. Their presence reminds others of their own inner strength. They don't preach, they don't persuade, they simply live authentically, and that alone is enough to inspire. When they face hardship, they don't run. They know each challenge is part of their refinement, because those who lead cannot be fragile, but neither can they be cold. They were made to hold the light steady and kind. Sometimes they carry the loneliness of the pioneer, but in that solitude, there is a voice from heaven whispering, I am with you. They are not alone. Angels walk beside them, guiding them through roads no one has mapped. And because they dare to walk, the world expands a little more, and the light travels a little farther. The Lord confides in those who fear Him. He makes His covenant known to them. Psalm 25:14. Those born in January are the ones who honor the guidance of heaven, even when they cannot yet see the result. They walk not because it's certain, but because they believe. They don't chase safety, they seek meaning. And with every step, they leave behind footprints of light on a path being made new. When they look up, they don't see themselves at the beginning. They see themselves in the middle between origin and eternity. They understand their mission is not to finish in one lifetime, but to plant seeds for the generations that follow. And they do it in silence, with hearts turned toward heaven. Their story is a reminder to all of us. Every beginning carries the shadow of the unknown. But if you dare to take the step, the light will follow. Because in heaven's design, the trailblazer never walks alone. They simply go ahead, preparing the path for the souls who will come next. And when the torch of January burns bright, that light spreads into a softer space where other souls, born in the gentleness of a new breeze, are waiting for their turn to rise and sing. Another chapter begins where peace and compassion become the heartbeat of the world. When the flame of the trailblazer has lit up the sky, that light does not spread through storms. It travels softly, carried on the gentle breath of souls born in February, those whom heaven calls by a quiet name, the peacemakers. If January is the spark of movement, February is the first breath of life. It is the stillness between two winds, where light finds its shape, where the soul learns to listen. Those born in this month are not loud. They do not seek the spotlight, nor do they need to lead. They come to comfort, to soothe, to mend the torn fabric of the world with the invisible thread of compassion. They often feel things more deeply than others. A single word, a glance, even a silence can move them to tears. They don't just hear, they feel. They don't just see, they touch the soul of another. And this sensitivity, what the world sometimes mistakes as weakness, is actually their greatest gift from heaven. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Matthew 5-9. This is the sacred blessing spoken over February souls, for they are children of peace. In a world full of noise, they are the quiet space sent by heaven. When someone is breaking, they don't need to speak, their presence is enough. When conflict erupts, they stand in the middle, not to judge, but to listen. When darkness rises, they are the small candle, not dazzling, but steady, just enough to help someone find their way. Those with this calling are often born into hardship. Their childhood may be marked by pain, where they learned early how deeply humans can hurt one another out of fear. And from those wounds, they learned the lesson of mercy. Their own brokenness shaped their tenderness, because they know how much healing matters when everything falls apart. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34-18. This verse is like a breath woven into their lives. They are living proof that the heart which has been cracked is the very place where the light enters deepest. When they smile, it's more than a smile, it's a blessing. When they embrace, it's not just an embrace, it feels like coming home. February souls do not seek power. They do not crave attention. They are like water, flexible, soft, yet stronger than anything else, because water knows how to flow without resistance. When they love quietly. When they forgive, they need no apology. When they pray, it's not to ask, it's to offer. Heaven places them in the chaos of the world like a steady heartbeat, keeping life from falling into total disarray. Wherever they go, their energy calms tension, makes people breathe easier, feel safer, feel seen. This is how they fulfill their purpose, not through argument, but through presence. At times, they may forget their worth, thinking their quietness means they don't stand out. But heaven never needed them to stand out. Heaven only needed them to show up, because their presence is light. If you were born in February, remember, your sensitivity is not a burden. It is your spiritual compass. It helps you see who is hurting, who needs to be heard, who needs to be forgiven. And when you listen with your heart, you are doing the work of God, the work of reconciliation. You don't have to change the whole world. You just have to light the space where you stand. When you choose peace in the midst of chaos, you open a path for light to pass through. When you remain quiet in conflict, you plant seeds of compassion. When you love without needing love in return, you are teaching the world how to love. That is the strength of softness. The strength of those born in February. Another mark often finds its way to them. 333, the number of divine guidance. 3 is the number of wholeness, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. When this number repeats, it is a gentle reminder that heaven is near and that you are not alone in your journey. 333 is the whisper of angels, the soft chime that says you are being guided in the right direction. If you see this number often, don't dismiss it. Pause. Breathe. Feel it. Perhaps heaven is saying, I am here. Let that number become a small ritual every time you see it. Smile and offer a word of thanks. And if your heart resonates deeply with 333, share it as a soul signal, because when you acknowledge the light, that light begins to multiply. For them, the journey is not about conquering, but about embracing. Not about victory, but about harmony. Not about proving, but about healing. And sometimes, just one timely silence from them is enough to change the atmosphere in a room. enough to soften a heart that was once closed. They don't need applause. They don't need titles. Their soul already knows the most sacred things are not remembered. They are sent. They are bridges between people and people, between earth and heaven. Like the outstretched hands of God, they connect two shores of pain with the unconditional thread of love. If you feel a longing in your heart to soothe, to forgive, to bring comfort, then perhaps your soul carries the frequency of February. Because peace is not just the gift you offer, it is the mission you are meant to live. And in that stillness, as your breath falls into rhythm with the wind, you realize peace is not the destination, it is the path. The path that leads into the months ahead, where courage begins to rise, where faith learns to stand strong, and where the light of enduring souls is waiting to be called by name. After the gentle breeze of February, time begins to move with a slower, deeper rhythm. The light no longer shines with the brilliance of a beginning, but settles into the steady strength of those born in the season of warm earth, the ones who carry the mark of May. If January is the flame that blazes the trail, and February is the water that heals, then May is the soil where light and water meet to give life. Souls born in May are known as the steadfast, quiet, grounded, and trustworthy. They come into the world carrying the mission to anchor faith, to lay foundations of hope, and to be a refuge for trembling hearts. When everything around them falls apart, they remain standing. When storms rise, they are the pillar. When others lose their way, they are the small light, guiding the path back to safety. There is a quiet strength within them, the strength of the earth. The earth does not speak, does not boast, but everything that exists relies on it to stand firm. The earth carries every step, holds every seed, and silently nourishes all that is sacred. In the same way, May souls rarely feel the need to prove themselves. Their presence alone is enough to make others feel safe. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. Psalm 18:2. This is the psalm heaven has written into their hearts. They understand that true strength does not come from force, but from unshakable faith. They don't speak much about faith. They live it in every small action, in the way they listen, in the patience in their eyes. May-born souls can sit in silence for hours while others pour out their pain. Their silence is not coldness, it is a blanket of understanding. They know that sometimes the world doesn't need answers. It just needs someone who won't walk away. But in their steadiness, they too must learn a hard lesson not to lose themselves while being the rock for others. Many times, they forget that even the strongest pillars need rest. They carry the habit of holding on, of staying strong until their legs tremble. And in the long hours of the night, when everyone else is asleep, they finally allow their tears to fall quietly, where no one can see. Heaven sees this, and in those moments of weakness, they are always sent a small sign, a breath of wind, a number, a flicker of light, a whisper from God that says, "You are not alone." Many May-born souls face constant tests of faith. Life seems to challenge them repeatedly through loss, change, betrayal, and even the silence of heaven. But it is in these tests that they are forged into strength, because true faith is only revealed when everything else falls away. I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit. Psalm 40:1-2. This verse echoes with every beat of their heart. Patience is the song of the May soul. They understand that sacred things never arrive in haste, and the most precious seeds grow in silence. While others chase noise, they choose to stay, to tend the soil, and to wait. And in the waiting, miracles take root. If you were born in May, know this: every time you remain steadfast, you are doing more than you realize. You are holding part of the world together. When you choose to believe without seeing, you activate the energy of the earth, the force that pushes a seed to sprout even in darkness. There will be moments when you grow tired. You will ask, "Who will hold me when I am the one holding everyone else?" And the answer will arrive in the most unexpected ways: a stranger's smile, a song that finds you, a breeze that brushes your shoulder. Heaven always sends a signal, because God never forgets those who remain faithful. May souls are quiet warriors. They need no armor, only trust. Their faith is not the desperate faith of pleading, but the calm knowing that all things are already being made right. When they pray, it's not to demand, but to give thanks. When they lift their eyes to the sky, They don't ask why. They simply say, "I'm still here." It is this calm strength that makes them pillars in families, in communities, and in the spiritual world. People come to them when they are lost, and they do not preach, they embody. They don't deliver sermons. They are the sermon, a living testament of faith, loyalty, and unwavering hope. There is a special sign marked for them, the number 444, the number of strong foundations and divine protection. When 444 appears, it is a message from the angels that you are surrounded, that everything is being built in the right direction. 444 is a confirmation that you are the foundation not just for yourself, but for many others. If that number resonates with you, receive it as a blessing. Write it down, keep it close, or simply smile when it shows up. Comment it, or whisper it to the sky as a sign that you've heard, because every time you acknowledge it, heaven strengthens you more. May-born souls are symbols of enduring faith and compassion without judgment. They know healing doesn't come by forcing others to change, but by being so steady that others feel peace just being near them. They don't push, they don't control. They simply remain, and their presence alone is the miracle. And when the world falls into chaos, it is these souls who keep the flame of hope alive. They are the ones holding a lantern in the night. Though the winds may howl, though the rain may pour, they keep the fire burning because they know the light does not belong to them alone. It belongs to all. When the night is over, dawn will come. A new light will shine upon those who have built the foundations of faith, and from there, the world will be rebuilt. And in that light, a new generation of awakened souls will rise, those who do not merely build, but seek. They are not content with surfaces. They hunger for truth. They are the seekers, the ones who will dig deeper into the mysteries of the soul. When the ground has been laid, when faith has taken root, a different wind begins to stir, cool, clear, and full of questions. It is the breath of July, the month of the seekers, the souls born not to rest, but to search. In their hearts, there burns a flame that cannot be extinguished. A single word echoes always within them. Why? Not out of doubt, but out of a hunger for understanding. Not to deny, but to uncover what lies deeper beneath what seems obvious. Those born in July are not easily satisfied. They see the world like a thin veil, always wanting to reach through and touch what is more real. They ask about the meaning of pain, about the reason for love, about where the soul returns when the body fades away. Even as children, they felt different, unable to accept shallow answers. In school, they didn't just memorize, they questioned. In faith, they didn't just believe, they wanted to understand. And in life, they didn't just exist, they searched for a reason to live. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. Matthew 7:7. This scripture feels like their soul's first calling, the ones born to knock. They are the constant tapping of humanity upon heaven's door, the questions whispered into the night. Each question they ask doesn't offend heaven, it makes heaven smile. Because through them, truth begins to unfold. They are like Thomas, the disciple who needed to touch Christ's wounds to believe. But Christ did not shame him. He simply said, "Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." John 20:29. And Thomas, once full of doubt, became the apostle who carried the faith the farthest. Because those who pass through doubt often come to believe with their whole hearts. July souls are just like that, seekers of light who are unafraid to walk through shadow to find it. They do not fear questions. They understand that true light does not fear being tested. They walk into the jungles of thought, into the deserts of solitude, in search of their soul's real voice. And when they find it, they don't keep it for themselves, they share it. They shine it. They awaken others to dare to ask, too. They have a deep capacity for listening not just to what is said, but to what remains unspoken. They see the truth beneath appearances. That makes them powerful guides, but it also makes them weary, because seeing so much, feeling so deeply, can be a heavy load. They easily absorb the pain of others and can become lost in endless contemplation. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Psalm 139:23-24. This is the prayer of the July soul, the ones who are always examining themselves. They don't just seek to understand the world. They want to understand themselves. They know that true truth doesn't live outside. It lives deep within. And every question they ask of the world is really a question they ask of their own spirit. At times, their path is lonely. When others are content with answers, they continue to ask. When others stop searching, they keep going. When someone says, "Just have faith," they ask, "Faith in what?" But heaven loves their stubbornness because it is how light digs deeper. Only when the question touches the depths can the answer become revelation. July souls do not live on the surface. They feel everything with their whole being. When they love, their love is a sacred offering. When they hurt, their pain becomes a prayer. When they fall silent, their silence holds the universe. That is why their presence is so powerful. Not because of what they say, but because of how real they are. They've been given a sacred task by heaven to awaken consciousness. They are not sent to convince, but to stir. Simply by living truthfully, they cause others to ask themselves, "Am I living honestly?" And from that one question, another soul begins to open. But in order to fulfill this mission, they must learn to trust their own journey. Because the constant searching can sometimes leave them tired and full of doubt, they need to remember not every question needs an answer right away. Some questions are meant to be held in the heart, because truth takes time to ripen. There are signs meant especially for them, the number 555, the symbol of great change and multiplied grace. When 555 appears, it signals that the soul is nearing a new threshold of awareness. It means transformation is near, and you are being invited to step beyond what is familiar, deeper into your own becoming. If you are a seeker, and 555 shows up around you again and again, know this heaven is saying, do not fear change, because change is the doorway to revelation. Every time you release what no longer serves you, you make room for the sacred to emerge. And if that number stirs something in your heart, acknowledge it, write it down, speak it, share it as a sign that you are ready to transform. People born in July often have eyes that look as if they see through reality. And they see more than others. But they must also learn how to allow themselves to be seen, to remember that seeking is not always about reaching outward sometimes. It is simply allowing yourself to be who you truly are. No masks, no effort to understand it all. Just being. Heaven does not love them because they have all the answers, but because they are honest. And in an age where it is easy to compromise, soul honesty is sacred. July souls are the bridge between knowledge and faith, between mind and spirit. They ask so that light can go deeper into the world. And when that light descends, it meets other souls, the ones who not only search, but who see the sacred hidden in the ordinary, where heaven and earth quietly meet. As the fire of July's seeking still flickers in the air, the sky softens into a golden hue, the light of August. Carried by souls heaven calls the sacred seekers. They do not seek to know, but to encounter. Not to find answers, but to find God in all things. In their eyes, the world is no longer divided between sacred and ordinary. Every grain of dust, every breath, every gaze can become a doorway back to the divine. Those born in August often feel the world is both beautiful and aching. They live between two realms, one of earthly limitations, the other a hazy memory of the realm of light they once belonged to. Some nights, they look up at the sky with a deep longing that rises like waves, not knowing exactly what or whom they miss. In truth, it is their soul's home they are remembering. August is the month of pure light, the month of gentle fire. No longer the intensity of summer, not yet the chill of autumn. Its light is clear, peaceful, yet holds quiet strength. Just like those born in this month, they carry the calm of someone who has walked through many storms and who knows that the sacred is not far away, but within each breath. The kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17:21. This verse is their compass. In the heart of every August soul, there is a small inner sanctuary, a temple, where they can hear the voice of the Creator without ceremony, without intermediaries, simply through pure presence. These are the souls who have learned that God is not confined to temples, but dwells in ordinary mornings, in the dew on a flower, in a child's eyes, in the warmth of someone who loves. But because they see the sacred in all things, they are also easily wounded. They sense dishonesty, distortion, and the heavy energies of the world, and it exhausts them. Sometimes they must retreat into stillness, away from the crowd, to reconnect with the pure frequency their soul longs for. Others may call them hermits, dreamers, but heaven knows these are souls who need silence to keep their hearts clear. My heart says of you, seek his face. Your face, Lord, I will seek. Psalm 27:8. This is the ancient vow that August souls carry as they come to earth to seek the face of God, not only in temples, but in the faces of people. When they love as a form of prayer. When they listen, they give their full presence. And because of that, people often feel peace around them, as if the light moving through them gently washes away the shadows in others' hearts. But the sacred always comes with trials. August souls must learn the lesson of boundaries. When you see God in everyone, it's easy to forget not everyone is ready to reflect that light back. They must learn to give without losing themselves, to love without vanishing, to shine without burning out. In moments of weariness, heaven sends them a sign, the number 777, the mark of spiritual awakening and divine alignment. When 777 appears, it is confirmation that they are on the right path, that their inner journey has reached the frequency where soul and spirit meet. 777 is not a promise of reward, but a signal that the light within them has been activated. If you are an August soul and 777 is calling your name, pause, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and whisper in your heart, I recognize this light. I welcome its guidance. Say it aloud or share it in silence, because when spoken, a word becomes a key. Every spoken word is a door opened. August souls often have deep, still eyes. They do not look at others with judgment, but with recognition. They do not just see form, they see the soul. Sometimes, just one glance from them is enough to make someone cry, not from fear, but from the feeling of being truly seen, because they are mirrors reflecting the light of God. Their mission is to bridge two realms, the seen and the unseen. The invisible becomes alive through them, an inspiration, an idea, a quiet intuition. They don't need to understand how it works. They only need to trust. And when they trust, everything flows, as if heaven and they were old friends, breathing in the same rhythm. I keep my eyes always on the Lord. With him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Psalm 16:8. This verse is a gentle reminder. Don't search outward, keep the light centered within. When you place God before you, you won't be pulled into illusion. When you carry the sacred in your heart, everything you do becomes sacred. August souls come to remind the world that the sacred has never disappeared. We have simply stopped noticing. They are the ones who lift the veil and point to the ordinary and say, look closer. God is there. And in the moment someone looks again, the light begins to spread. But to keep this light burning, they must learn to breathe within the world to be in life, but not of it. To walk with feet on earth, but eyes on heaven. This is the sacred dance between two worlds, and when they learn it, they become the eternal bridge between the divine and the human. If you were born in August, know that you have nothing to prove. Your light speaks for itself. All you need is to be real, to be present, to love, without fear of being misunderstood. Because light never needs to explain itself. It only needs to shine. And when they shine, the world begins to see more clearly. That light reaches the next souls, those born in the following month, who carry a special gift, the energy of order and harmony. While August souls see God in all things, they, the souls of September, come to bring structure, so that light may spread without chaos, without confusion. While the souls of August are still looking to the heavens in search of the divine face, the light in the air begins to gather, pulling inward. Everything becomes clearer. The world stops drifting, and in that stillness, September is born, the month of the restorers of order, those who carry within them the energy of alignment and balance. If August is the eye that sees God in all things, September is the hand that gently puts everything in its rightful place. These souls come to restore what has fallen out of rhythm, to bring back harmony between the soul and the world. When life feels chaotic, they arrive quietly, placing each piece of life back where it belongs. September-born souls often walk with awake eyes, slow but steady steps. They don't just love order. They understand that order is not control, but a reflection of heaven. Because in the universe, there is no chaos. Even the most distant star moves in perfect timing with the breath of eternity. And September souls carry this memory, the memory of sacred structure, the divine blueprint written by the Creator. For God is not a God of disorder, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33. That verse beats in their heart. They cannot bear prolonged disorder, not around them, not within them. When they enter a room, they feel when something is off. When they speak to someone, they hear the dissonant note beneath the words. When they look at life, they just know what needs to be realigned. And they do this not out of perfectionism, but because their soul breathes in harmony. As children, they were the ones organizing their study spaces, sorting their thoughts, managing their emotions. As adults, they become the ones everyone turns to for direction. They may not speak much, but when they do, their words carry weight because they speak with patience, clarity, and insight that reaches the root of things. September souls do not chase the spotlight. They love simplicity. They find holiness in the natural order of life, steady breathing, the morning sun, a warm cup of water, a heartfelt thank you. To them, these are soul rituals moments where the ordinary becomes sacred. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Psalm 37:23. This verse flows through them like breath. Every step they take is intentional, disciplined, and awake. They don't live by impulse, but by the rhythm of their inner order. They know that when the inside is in chaos, the world will reflect it. But when the inner world is aligned, everything outside begins to balance itself. Those who carry September's energy come to teach the world how to bring harmony between soul and action. They don't believe in enlightenment through words alone. They believe in bringing light into everyday acts, tidying a room, watering a plant, writing a kind message, keeping a promise, listening without interruption. To them, these are not small things, they are how they bring heaven to earth. They are the ones who keep the rhythm, the ones who lay the foundation for what lasts. When the world rushes, they slow down. When others are overwhelmed, they take a breath. When someone is lost, they simply look gently and say, "Let everything return to where it belongs." And something strange happens. The space around them becomes calm, but order has its shadow. If they're not careful, it can become a burden. Many September souls unknowingly take on too much, trying to hold everything together, trying to keep everything perfect. They must learn that true order doesn't come from control. It comes from trust. When they dare to let go, the universe keeps turning, and often more beautifully. Heaven sends them a special sign, the number 222, the number of balance and divine reassurance. 222 appears when the soul is trying to find harmony between giving and receiving, between doing and resting. When you see this number, know that heaven is recalibrating your rhythm. If that number repeats around you, don't fear it. Receive it as a gentle message. Trust the process. Balance doesn't always look like stillness sometimes. It's the perfect flow between opposites. And you, September soul, are the keeper of that flow between light and shadow, between structure and freedom. September-born souls have far-seeing vision, not with their eyes, but with the intuition of one who understands the structure of the soul. They can feel timing. They know when to act and when to pause. They understand that each soul has its own rhythm, and their task is simply to honor that rhythm. That's why they are often teachers, guides, or quiet leaders, not dominating, but gently uplifting. Direct my footsteps according to your word. Let no sin rule over me. Psalm 119-133. This is their quiet prayer to stay aligned, to not be pulled off track by the world. When they live by this, everything around them becomes clear. People feel peace in their presence without knowing why, but heaven knows it is the energy of divine order. They are here to remind us that heaven is not just a destination, but a way we live each day. A tidy workspace, a sincere word, a consistent kindness. This is heaven on earth. They do not need to speak much, because the order in their actions is already a language of faith. And when their work is done, when the fragments are gathered, when things are restored, they lift their gaze to the sky of October, where the leaves begin to fall, and the world prepares for a new garment. In that wind, a soft voice calls out, "Now, let the renewal begin." And so the journey continues, from order to transformation, from balance to rebirth, where all that was old is released, and something new and radiant is ready to emerge. When the hand of September has placed the world back into order, the wind begins to shift. Leaves fall from branches, the sun softens its golden glow, and the air carries the breath of transition. That is how October arrives, the month of the transformers, the souls who bear the mark of renewal and rebirth. If September is the hand that arranges, then October is the breath that dissolves the old so that new life may emerge. Everything in nature knows this lesson. For spring to come, leaves must fall. And October souls are sent to earth to teach humanity that letting go is itself a form of grace. They are people of constant transformation, not because they lack steadiness, but because their souls vibrate with evolution. Every time the world shifts, they sense it first. Whenever something old must end, they must move forward. It is not a choice, it is their nature. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Psalm 51:10. That psalm is the breath of the October soul. Every day for them is an opportunity to be renewed. They cannot live in what has become untrue. When something loses its meaning, they sense they must move on, even if it hurts. Within them is a natural instinct urging, do not stay where the light has dimmed. October-born souls carry the energy of autumn, gentle yet powerful, warm yet capable of cutting away. They do not destroy, they purify. They come to help heavy things lighten, to teach the world how to die in grace, then resurrect in light. Many among them have walked through deep loss, separation, grief, brokenness. But in every rupture, something within them is reborn. They understand that no sorrow is wasted, no loss meaningless. Each time the heart breaks, light finds a way in. October souls have the capacity to sense the cycles of the soul, when to stop, when to begin, when to release. They feel the flow of energy, like a musician who knows when to pause for the music to complete. They do not fear endings, because they understand an end is another form of beginning. Weeping may last through the night, but joy comes in the morning. Psalm 30:5. This verse is their promise. Even when the night is long, they trust the dawn will come. They hold faith in the cycle of resurrection. When they tell someone things will be okay, it is not just comfort, it is prophecy. Their soul has seen life blossom from ashes. On their journey, October souls carry a gift, the ability to help others let go. They often appear in a life at the moment someone is about to break. With a gentle word, with empathetic presence, they help the other realize it's okay to release. And once the other lets go, they leave quietly like the wind to continue their transformative journey elsewhere. They teach the world the sacred art of death, not of the body, but of the shells that no longer serve, the old beliefs, the fears that bind. When they enter, the old energy begins to dissolve. When they depart, the new is born. Often without noticing their impact, they act by instinct, like a tree shedding leaves to protect the life inside. Still, their path is not an easy one. To help others transform, they must constantly transform themselves. Their life flows like a river, never still. Each time they think they've reached their destination, a new call arises. They must release again, begin anew, trust again. Yet in each fresh beginning, their soul becomes more pure, more luminous, more free. Those born in October have a deep resonance with the number 999, the number of completion and new beginnings. When 999 appears, it signals the end of a cycle, not to lose, but to open the way for what's next. 999 is a chime. It's time to close, to give thanks, and to step forward. If you find that number appearing around you on clocks, in dreams, or in thoughts, do not fear. See it as a sign that heaven is preparing the path. You may be standing on the threshold between the old and the new, and God is saying, trust me, release, let me do what remains. If that number touches your heart, hold it as a vow with your soul. I accept change. I choose the light. October souls are here to remind the world that transformation is not loss. It is how heaven helps us return closer to our true nature. They carry the frequency of autumn, teaching people how to find beauty in letting go, strength and softness, how to live in every small death of life's chapters. And then, when the final winds of autumn quiet and the sun recedes deep into a violet sky, they discern another light, deep, hushed, and mysterious. That light is not brilliant like midday, but glowing from within, like embers beneath ash. It is the signal for the coming of November, the month of intuition and vision, where souls learn to see by the eye of the Spirit to hear what has not been spoken. When autumn has stretched to its limit, the world seems to pause to take a deep breath. The light weakens, chill returns. Everything outside falls quiet. But beneath the earth, a silent life begins to stir. This is the season of November, the month of souls granted a third eye, those who see the invisible. If October carries the energy of transformation, November is the moment after transformation where the soul no longer needs to see with the physical eye, but with intuition, with inner light. They are the intuitives, those who hear the voice of the higher realm through silence, who sense the soul of others before a word is spoken. From childhood, they were different. When the world looks with one eye, they look with two. When others see an event, they see its meaning. When someone cries, they don't only hear sobs, they hear the hidden pain behind the sound, as if the soul is singing a song begging to be healed. They didn't learn this, they were born knowing. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5-7. That scripture is the heart of their being. They truly live by faith, by knowing without proof. The modern world may call them strong intuition, but in truth, it is luminous clairvoyance. They are not prophets in dramatic robes, but those who feel the rhythm of the universe, hear God's voice in the smallest of moments. November souls are like gates between two worlds. They stand on the edge between light and shadow, the visible and the invisible. They understand that nothing truly vanishes. Everything is transformed. They sense ancestral souls, angels, energies that have passed but still remain to guide. And so often, they feel lonely, carrying many voices from above that the world is not ready to hear. Make me to know your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth, and teach me. Psalm 25-4-5. That verse is their unending prayer. For though they hear many voices, they long above all to be led rightly. Intuition is their gift, but also their responsibility. November souls must learn to distinguish the voice of heaven from the chatter of ego. Only in stillness can they hear what is real. They may walk through deep solitude, not because they are forsaken, but because their soul needs to disconnect to recalibrate. In those days, they speak little, move little. If you ask, they will say something is shifting within, as though someone is whispering inside them word by word. And that is true. Because heaven often speaks in silence, and November is the season of those quiet whispers. They keep light in the darkness. When others fear what they don't understand, they step forward. They touch what most avoid. They look straight into parts of the soul humanity hides, and instead of recoiling, they whisper, "Light is here too." Because they know there is no place where God is absent, even in the darkest corridors of the soul. Even the darkness is not dark to you. The night shines like the day. Psalm 139-12. That is the life they live. They do not fear darkness, for they see its light. So they become guides for souls lost in spiritual fog, wounded by doubts and fear. They don't try to explain, they just speak softly. In their words is energy that awakens another's soul, reminding it that it was never abandoned. November souls often become healers, artists, storytellers, spiritual counselors, or simply friends who listen deeply. They do not need ceremony, only presence. When they are near, you feel safe. When they gaze at you, you feel seen, even before you speak. Yet they must learn to guard their energy. By feeling deeply, they can become weary. They need time alone, in nature, to release energies that do not belong to them. Heaven often reminds them, you were not created to bear all things. You were sent to shine. A sign often sent to them is the number 333, the number of divine guidance and communication with the higher realms. When that number appears, it is a message from angels. Trust your intuition. You are being led rightly. 333 is also a reminder that you are not alone in your journey. 3 is the presence of the Trinity, the embrace of God around your soul. If you are a November soul and see 333 often, regard it as a conversation with heaven. Close your eyes, place your hand on your heart, and ask, Lord, what do I need to hear today? Then remain silent. The answer will come not in words, but in a quiet peace, filling your being. And if that number touches you, share it, because each time you acknowledge the light within you is strengthened again. November souls are not born to live under bright lights. They are sent to carry light into unlit places. They are candles burning in the mist, translators of heaven's language through the action of compassion. They don't need to be understood. They need only to remain faithful to the light within. When they live in this truth, everything around them begins to shift. Others feel more peace, more open-heartedness, more capacity to love. They do more than illuminate, they awaken. And when enough souls awaken, light spreads even into those places where darkness once seemed eternal. And as winter softly approaches, another warmth appears not from the sun, but from the human heart. That is the light of December, the month of hope and fulfilled promises, when light triumphs over darkness, and the final souls of this cycle carry the highest mission, to remind humanity that God is still here and that He keeps His promises. In the season when winter's breath begins to whisper, the air thins, the light shortens, and the world seems to pause, remembering something distant. Across the sky, the stars shine brighter than ever, as though heaven leans in close. Amid that stillness, the soul born in December appears the bearers of light, those who carry the brightness of promise, faith that light will always return. If November saw what was invisible, December reveals it light, emerging from darkness. It is the month of Christmas, the month when God became human to remind us hope still lives. Therefore, souls born in December carry that very energy, the energy of faith, of resurrection, of unending compassion. They shine, not with loud words, but with peaceful presence. When they enter, the space warms. When they smile, sorrow dissolves. When they touch someone, their heart seems warm. They are proof that God's light is not far off. It lives in every person who loves unconditionally. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. This verse is their essence. They are born to remind us that darkness never conquers light, because light is not an object. Light is love's nature. When they love, they cause others to remember that they are worthy of love, even when broken, even when flawed. December souls are gentle yet strong. They do not fear sacrifice. They do not hesitate to step into the coldest places to bring warmth to others. They are loyal friends, natural healers, small beacons in the long winter night. When others lose trust, they still stand and speak softly. Do not fear. The light remains. They don't need to preach God, they live as proof of Him. They don't proclaim faith, they are faith in motion. When they pray, their prayer is silent, a light radiating from their heart into the whole room. They know God is not only above, He is present where they stand, in every breath of kindness. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. Psalm 23-4. That is the strength of a December soul, the strength of unshaken faith. When everything falls apart, they maintain calm. When the world trembles, they whisper, I have seen this light before, and it will return. But they must also learn this lesson. Do not let their kindness become exhaustion. They give so much, often forgetting themselves. They must remember that light can only spread if tended. If they lose the flame inside them, how can they light others? So heaven gives them moments of silence, not punishment, but rest in the divine embrace. There are nights when they feel their light flicker. In that moment, a sign appears, a number, a song, a stranger's smile. That is God's way of saying, I am still here. In that moment, they remember. True light never fades. It merely hides until the soul learns to seek it again. December souls carry the energy of 888, the number of infinite cycles, of new beginnings multiplied in grace. When 888 appears, it is confirmation that things are aligning, that a cycle is concluding and light is multiplying. It is the number of resurrection, of life renewed, of vows fulfilled. If you see 888 around you in dreams, on a clock, in conversation, know you are being reminded of your mission of light. Write it down, say it aloud as a vow. I choose to live as light. If your heart resonates with it, share it, for when you acknowledge the sacred, you help open the way for it to spread. December souls are often the final support in another storm. They listen without judgment, love without conditions. They know sometimes the one thing someone needs is someone who believes in them, and they, in their holy gentleness, believe not in outcomes, but in the human soul. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119 to 105. That verse is not just scripture, it describes them. They are that lamp shining on the path of a world blinded by uncertainty. And every time they choose to love, choose to forgive, choose to trust, their light brightens a little more. But the most miraculous thing about a December soul is this: their light is never only for themselves. They are sent to ignite others. They make others believe they too carry light. When they smile, you remember hope. When they speak, you remember you can begin again. When they touch your hand, you remember God never left. And so the cycle comes full circle. From January paving the way, February healing, May holding faith, July seeking, August seeing God, September restoring, October transforming, November seeing into darkness, all the way to December, where light returns, where every meaning finds place. The universe still moves. Souls still revolve. But those who have heard this language, the language of heaven, are never the same. They walk differently, slower, deeper, more conscious, because they know no breath is accidental, no day is meaningless. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Psalm 90 to 12. Each day is a lesson, each month a seal, and each soul a chapter in God's eternal symphony. Now, as this story closes, you are not merely a listener. You are the one called by name. Your birth month is no longer just a number, it is your soul's code, the greeting God sent on the day you were born. If your heart stirred, if something deep awakened, then let your light speak. Share it. Speak of the number, of your month, of what you feel, because every soul that remembers they are light helps shrink the darkness. And so the promise is fulfilled. Light has returned, and it lives in you. Grateful that you chose to spend these moments in the light of this story. If it touched your soul, please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell so the next whisper of light may find its way back to you.